Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. We are excited to have Dr. Kay Fontana joining us here, the founder and life force coach from Healing Our Grieving Hearts. That's healingourgrievinghearts.com. She's really compassionate and dedicated to help so many people with grief recovery and so much more. So we're going to get to know her today and, of course, talk more about her mission. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Well, thank you so much, Jill. I am great, and it's good to be on your show. Thank you so much.
Well, we're excited to have you here, hailing from beautiful Sun City, Arizona.
Yes,
But you're not working with people just in Arizona, right? You're able to work with people all over the world, in a sense.
right, exactly. Because I do online coaching, I do online programs, and so I can reach anyone.
Perfect. And I know for today, we're going to talk more about this life force coaching and energy healing you provide, grief recovery, and so much more. But first, I would like to get to know you, if you don't mind. Tell us a little bit about your background and, kind of walk us through how you got here to helping others this way.
Well, great. Well, I became a certified life coach back in 2006 and a licensed spiritual practitioner and grief recovery specialist about 10 years ago. And just recently, last January of 2023, my husband passed away. And so before that, I had been doing work with individuals on grief recovery and helping them either in groups or individually work
Mhm.
through their grief. And then my husband had a lot of health problems. And for the last couple of years of his life, he wasn't, I wasn't really into that mode of helping people with their grief because I was really focused on his health and dealing with that. So about 6 months after he died, I had this calling that I needed to
Mm.
return to grief work and help women in their grief as they've lost their husbands or soulmates or partners, whatever they want to call them. But I wasn't really inspired to help them navigate through grief and help them
Mhm.
find purpose in their life like I did. And
Beautiful.
so that's how that's when Healing Our Grieving Hearts was born.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing that. Sorry what you went through. But it also brought a new path for you and a new journey to help so many people. So I know you always look to the positive side, right? And
Yes,
we're,
absolutely. It took a
you know,
while, but I got there.
Oh, no, that's beautiful. It really is. So you're now helping clients in a sense find what you had to find, and go through with that personal growth and transformation. So you're also, I just want to ask you about this, a licensed spiritual practitioner as well, right? Could you just share what that is?
Okay, so it's actually like spiritual coaching. It's meeting with clients and my licensed spiritual practitioner, my license comes from the Centers for Spiritual Living based out of Colorado. And I went through a extensive training program to work
Hmm.
with clients in healing their issues through spiritual practices and prayer.
Wow.
So it's more of a spiritual based program, and some may not be into that spiritual aspect of it, but it's an option for clients if that's what they want to, if they want to choose that.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing that. And let's get started and talk a little bit about, the work that you're doing. Starting with the life force coaching. I know you wanted to kind of start with that for today. What is it all about? And let's talk about the people that are in need of this and the things that they could benefit from to work with you.
Absolutely. Well, I recognize that we are all composed of energy, and which forms our essence or our life force. And so I use a diverse collection of tools to help people find tap into their inner wisdom so that um, they can unfold some answers to some of their most pressing questions. And mainly I work with people with who are having issues with grief. And so life force coaching really taps into what what their goals are, what they want to achieve, and how
Hmm.
they want to move past all this. And sometimes it takes a little reflection on where they are right now, where they want to be, and how they're going to get there. And so, it's a lot of questions and inquiry about where they want to go and how they want to achieve that. And so
Beautiful.
we don't really focus so much on the how at the moment, but mainly of the what. What is it that they want out of life? What is their purpose? What is their mission? What is their life goals, after loss?
And it's never too late, right? I feel like since the pandemic, I've been inspired. I know so many people who've been, they had to change careers up and at them and realize
Yeah.
this was like insane. I still think about it all the time because so much of us have changed and we went through so much, never thinking in this day and age that we could go through something like this, lose so many lives, and realize the
Right.
value and how precious life is, right? So
Absolutely.
it's never too late. So to start doing what you love, and I'm a believer in that.
It's never too late. And sometimes people, experiencing grief, they've held on to it for so long, for years, sometimes decades. And they're just kind of consumed in that grief because they don't know where to go. And it's basically from our culture that we don't really recognize grief that well. We don't handle grief that well. People want to sweep it under the rug, and they don't want to talk about it because they don't know how to respond to people who are grieving. And actually there's like 40 different types of grief. And as you said, from the pandemic,
Yeah.
people are grieving the loss of friendships, the loss of jobs, the loss of loved ones. And there's so many ways that so many situations that can cause people to grieve. And like I said, some hold on to it for a long time.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that. And also, I know you do the life force coaching, but there's also I've read on the website about the Healing Hearts program. What is that? That's one
Well,
of the
it's the Healing Our Grieving Hearts is like the is my business. It's called Healing Our Grieving Hearts. And so what in my business, I do the life force coaching. I also
got
do
it.
energy healing and grief recovery. And so it's kind of all encompassing, and it
Wow.
really depends on the person's situation and
Okay.
what I find would be the most beneficial to them at that place, at that moment.
Perfect. Well, would you mind discussing an example or two of someone that you've has gone through the Life Force coaching program, some of the things that they've accomplished, and how they felt after? Because I know there's some great testimonials, on the website. Would you mind
Mhm.
sharing a story or two?
Yeah, sure. Well, one client that I worked with, she had experienced a loss, multiple losses in her life, and different relatives in her life, and she was feeling kind of stuck, and it was also affecting her health. And
Mm-hmm.
so by addressing her grief using the grief recovery method and
Yep.
some coaching, she was able to heal one of the main losses that she had experienced in her life many, many years ago, and was able to move forward. And she is like a whole different person. She says, I'm happy. I love life. I love my family. It was just an amazing transformation for her to be able to get past that loss that occurred, one of those that occurred
Mm-hmm.
decades ago.
Oh my goodness. And then I
So,
was reading, on the website, there's one. Someone wrote, let me see who they were because I was reading them before. HP from Glendale says, when I first thought about focusing on changing my life, I only knew one thing. I didn't want to go to a traditional counselor. My goals were not to sit and talk about my problems, but actually change the way that I think about my life. So I would describe Kay as very nurturing, supportive, overall, a safe person for me to open up to. Not only has she
yes.
helped me change and improve the way I think, she's knowledgeable and spiritually gifted. Kay has improved my life in many ways. I would highly recommend her to anyone who wants to grow and support her on their spiritual journey. Also, Dr. K is compassionate, knowledgeable in all areas of health. Wonderful. This is from NLN. There's other people who, went through loss for the recovery, for the grief recovery program as well. But that kind of guided me over now to the spiritual side of things. And that's
Mhm.
something else that you do with energy healing. Could you share a little bit about what this is all about?
Sure. Well, energy healing is, I just have this passion for energy healing, and this includes sound and vibration healing, Qigong, and Reiki. I'm a certified Qigong instructor through the Satori method, and a Reiki master, and then recently um, received my certification in sound and vibration therapies, which entails, crystal bowls, gongs, chimes, and, anything musical that can help soothe the soul. And I've been doing that, and people have experienced just they the reactions that they have from going through a sound bath is just incredible. They absolutely love it. They feel relaxed and rejuvenated. Qigong is amazing. Qigong not only helps physically but also mentally and spiritually too, because it's a meditative martial art, that incorporates breathing techniques and slow movement and meditation all in one. And I just absolutely fell in love with Qigong after trying other different types of martial arts, but this one really resonated with me. And it has so many health benefits. It's amazing. And Reiki too. Reiki is about being kind of like a conduit of energy from source to the client. And you can either touch them physically or be above their body, but that intention of healing that individual and bringing energy to them, so that, because sometimes we have blocks of energy, and they're caused from
Okay.
trauma, they're caused from grief, they're caused from a multitude of things. But these blocks in our energy system can also create health issues, disease, and depression. So by using these energy healing techniques, we can open up those channels of energy that are blocked, and people feel that, they feel that they receive that guidance, and that I kind of have a loss for words here, but
It's okay.
but but they really feel that improvement in their health situation and their mental state, just by opening up those channels. And I've experienced it myself when I've received those from other people, and it's just amazing.
Yeah. Well, hold on. And this could be done on the computer as we're doing right now, correct?
Yes,
Like
yes.
energy, and people say, well, I don't understand how energy healing works. By the way, I know someone who's used it for chronic pain, and
Mhm.
that's probably just one of many things that
Yes.
it's used for. But could you just share some more examples of the things that we can use Reiki for? And it's amazing. We could transfer the energy just like this.
Yeah, yeah. So Reiki can be used for, like I said, depression. It can be used for pain, discomfort, any kind of discomfort in the body. I've used it for my back issues because I was a paramedic years ago, and I've had chronic back issues forever. And that and Qigong as well, are just phenomenal for back issues. Reiki can be used for just anxiety. It can be used for grief. It can be used for so many different things. And I think,
Hmm.
anything that you feel is uncomfortable for you, or something that you're struggling with, Reiki, Qigong, and sound and vibration healing can help so much.
Got it. Well, thank you
Yeah.
for that. And, I guess you do an overall assessment of someone, right? When you meet them to determine what they need or, right? Because they might need
Yes,
something different and there's
absolutely.
different. Perfect. And, What else with, you mentioned sound baths before. Is that something you do in
Mhm.
person where you are? And I don't really know what that is. Could you just share a little more details on that?
So with a sound bath, what I do is for an hour, I
Okay.
play crystal singing bowls, a gong, which is amazing, of an ocean drum, which is this which is this drum that has these objects in it that make noise and they sound just like the ocean waves. So it's very soothing and relaxing. And then I also have what they call koshi chimes. And there are different frequencies on each chime. And I have four of them and I play them together. I can also play them individually. But another thing that I do is I can combine, like in person, I can combine Reiki with vibration healing. And what I do is, along with the Reiki, putting the hands on the body, I also do tuning forks. And
Hmm.
the tuning
Wow.
forks by the ears and in different places too. You can um, do them around the body as well. But a drum and um, the tuning forks and also a Himalayan bowl like this one that's right behind me, and that one actually puts on the body and you hit the bowl with a mallet and it vibrates through the body. And I did that a couple weekends ago at a wellness expo and people absolutely loved it. They said, "Oh my gosh, this is so amazing." They felt so relaxed and in touch with their body after they experienced it. So it's quite amazing.
Amazing. I love hearing this. And got to remind everyone how we can contact you since we're a little over halfway through. But Dr. K, that's Dr. K Fontana, go to healingourgrievinghearts.com. Is there a phone number you want to share, a social media page as well before we continue?
Oh, sure. My social media page on Facebook, it's Facebook /K Fontana. And uh you said a phone number? I actually
Oh,
have to look at my phone
oh,
number
that,
because I was
it's
so
okay. They can
old.
just go to the website. That's fine. No need, no
They
need.
can. They can.
No need. And one of the things you have a quote in your notes with us today saying, "Don't run away from grief, O soul. Look for the remedy inside the pain, because the rose came from the thorn, and the ruby came from a stone." Who's that from?
That's from Rumi. And Rumi quotes are just amazing. I can't remember what century um, he lived in, but this quote really encourages us to face our grief rather than
Hmm.
avoid it, because really the only way that you can heal it is to go through it. And so many people want to skirt around it and
Yeah.
avoid it. And a lot of that is what I said before is our culture. We just don't
Yeah.
know how to respond to grief. So, within that pain, there is the potential for healing and transformation, just like, from the ruby and the rose. We can find that strength and resilience in inside the grief and really develop into something that we want to do, something that, touching into that inner soul that guides us to where we should be. And I really think that that's so important because, like I
Yeah.
said, so many people just kind of stuff it away,
Yeah.
and they also think, and I want to speak to grieving widows, is that a lot of times they think that if they move forward or they move on, as they say, that it's a signal that they're forgetting their husband. And you
Hmm.
can never forget your spouse. You can never stop loving them. And that's not going to happen. Moving forward just means that you honor them while pursuing your dreams, pursuing your purpose and your passion in life. And sometimes your purpose and passion in life comes out of that grief.
Yeah, beautifully said. And I want to find out more about the grief recovery as well. If you could share how working with you through this program does help. By the way, there's also, you can subscribe on the website for a grief recovery guide of some sort. Could you tell us a little
Yes.
bit about that too?
Yeah, there's a grief recovery. It's a free guide that you can download on my website, and
Okay.
it really addresses some of the many types of grief and experiences that you might have in the grieving process. And the grief recovery method was developed by John W. James and Russell Friedman out of their own grief that they experienced. John W. James lost a child, an infant child, and Russell Friedman had a business failure. And so
Okay.
he lost his business and he lost his home and so on. So they were both grieving different aspects of it. But the reason that they developed the program is because of the responses that they got from other people
Okay.
about their grief. It's like, oh, time heals all wounds, and be strong for others, and don't
Yeah.
feel bad, and oh, you're young enough to have another child. And those things are less than helpful. They are. And so they went on this mission to find, how people grieve, and what people are, if other people were receiving similar responses to their grief. And what he found is that there were many commonalities among people, regardless of if they lost a child, a parent, a spouse, a business, a home, or any of the other 40 types of losses that they can experience. And so the participants in the program, whether they do it individually or in a group, they write completion letters at the end of the process to find closure, and they really address one specific loss that they've experienced. And it's one that probably is the most significant loss that they've experienced. And
Mm.
sometimes they go into the program thinking that they're going to heal one loss, and they end up realizing that, oh, you know what, this happened 30 years ago. I should probably take care of that one.
Yeah. No,
So
absolutely.
it's a fabulous program, and I've had so much success with people that have gone through it. I can't think of anyone that has gone through it and said, oh, that was a waste of time, because
Got it.
it's not.
No. Oh, wow. Well, we have just a few more minutes left in the show. What else do you want people to know about you and your services today, Dr. K?
Well, I also have a podcast called Healing Our Grieving Hearts podcast, and you can find it on any podcast platform. And on my podcast, I address different types of grief, and also different ways to heal. And I really look at in grief in a broad spectrum. I don't focus specifically on widows. It's a broad compilation of different things in grief. And you know I also have a program that I'm going to be releasing here soon, and probably in a couple of weeks. It's called Purposeful Living After Loss, and it
Okay.
is geared toward widows. And
Okay.
so the program is designed to help people not only find their true purpose and passion, but also honor their spouses and create that legacy of them, because I think that is so important too. We really want to address their spouse too, but also address their purpose and passion. And so the program is going to be geared toward guiding women in that direction so that they can find their purpose in life.
Beautifully said. All right. Well, also, just to point out, you're available to work with people anywhere, right? This is
Yes,
virtual,
yes.
clearly. And is there any upcoming workshops that you have in class that we should know about?
Just the Purposeful Living for Loss, and I will be putting that on my website, as well
Great.
as I'll be announcing it on Facebook when it's ready to be released. It's very close, and so I anticipate that I will be releasing it this month, and I'm really excited about it. And I think it would be of great value to people.
Beautiful. And let me just ask, we talk about recovery, about losing our spouses, loved ones. I've lost my mother, I've lost
Oh,
grandparents and
yeah.
friends. Never a spouse or child, God forbid, but
Yeah.
that happens. And also, what about pets? Do
Oh,
people
yes.
grieve with pets too, right? Is that something you help with?
Absolutely, yes. And actually, the grief recovery method, the Grief Recovery Institute has a program that I'm also certified to help with, to teach, is on pet loss. And
Oh,
pet loss is huge. And you know, after my husband died last January, well, my dog died 3 months ago. And it's like, really, but he was 13 and he had health
yeah.
problems too. But pet loss is so huge. Before I knew about the grief recovery program, my husband and I lost our pet, our dog of 12 years back
Mhm.
when we lived in Washington. And it was probably the most devastating thing either one of us had gone through. And
Yeah.
so, yes, it's so important to address pet loss.
Ah, I know. I know. I've lost so many fur babies. But I
Yeah,
know I saw because on your website you also you blog, and that was one of the blog articles that you
yeah,
wrote about animals too. So it's okay to grieve for them too, and we do
it
need help
is.
with that too.
Absolutely.
Ah, well,
Absolutely.
let's stay connected. Obviously, healingourgrievinghearts.com. You can reach out there. And if they do reach out to you to schedule a session, you offer a free a session,
Yes.
complimentary. And how long is that session for?
It's 30 minutes,
Beautiful.
and it's basically to find out, what their loss is and how I can help and if we're a good fit to work together. But it's 30 minutes, it's free. They can sign up on my website, and we'll schedule a time to do that.
Oh, thank you. This is awesome. I love what you have to offer. And we have just a minute left. So, how did you
Okay.
want to end off for your show today?
Oh, I just encourage people that don't stuff your grief.
Okay.
Don't stuff it under the rug or in a backpack or anything like that. If you are suffering a loss, then I encourage you, no matter what direction you want to go, to seek help to heal that. If you're still hanging on to it and you are lost and don't know what to do, um, I encourage people to really on focusing on yourself and taking care of that grief.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Looking forward to the next time we get to connect. Pleasure having you here. And please reach out for that free initial 30-minute consultation. Dr. Kay Fontana, that's healingourgrievinghearts.com. Search for us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube too, right? And your podcast. And where can we find the podcast again?
That you can find the podcast on any podcast platform: iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all of those.
Does it
Or
air
you
like,
can go to my website. Oh, go ahead. Or
does
you
it?
can go to my website on the media page and you can
Got it.
find the.
All right. When is the next one? Do you have them like live on the certain days or are they all pre-recorded? When can
They're
we?
pre-recorded. My next one is this Saturday,
Okay.
and the title is going to be about using artistic expression for grief.
Perfect. Thank you
Using the
so
arts.
much. All right.
Thank you,
Pleasure
Jill.
getting to
I
know you
appreciate it.
today. Thank you again. And to
Thank
all of
you.
our listeners and viewers, stay tuned. More of the show's coming right up.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.